Alright, let's start catching up. It's finally time to finish up some of the decks that we had from set 14 before we plunge into the set 15 deck and fights. And so of course, there's no other bigger kind of face of the set, I think, for set 14 than the one and only Chaos Breaker himself. I think for a lot of people, Chaos represents that kind of like the face of Link Joker, you know, that kind of fear of lock and stuff like that. And because of that, Bushiroad did nerf the card a fair bit, added a lot of kind of like restrictions to it and like the way that it can be used, extra costs, not being able to like burst draw from things unlocking and things like that. So a lot of overall restrictions, but even after all those restrictions to make it kind of like fit for Zero, the deck is still really good. People are still finding the deck to be really good, not as like insanely dominant as it was in the TCG when it was first released, therefore other decks still stand a really good chance against it, but still very good despite everything else. So of course, let's just take a look at the deck ourselves. I actually just played, like I was like playing a practice match before I got into the recording the video, and I had a really good Link Joker mirror match, and I was like, I wish I was recording that because it was a really good game. But anyway, let's actually take a look at the deck. So this is what the updated Link Joker deck looks like with Chaos Breaker. So we have ditched the Dusttail Unicorn after its nerfs, and now we're playing the Fenrir, which basically just says at the end of the battle that a boosted Limerick for possessing unit, you put it into the soul to draw a card. So, you know, just extra draw, extra soul, something that we're pretty happy to have. So of course our boss unit is Chaos Breaker Dragon himself. So quite a lot of changes from the original card. So first things first, Limerick 4. At the beginning of your own turn, you may Counterblast 1. You may choose one of your opponent's rearguards that was unlocked during your opponent's last end phase and retire it and draw a card for the cost of Counterblast 1. This used to be as soon as something unlocks in the end phase of your opponent's turn, you Soul Blast 1 to draw for like retire and draw as many unlocked cards as you want. This one is strictly one card per turn. So this effect only activates once at the start of your turn. If your opponent unlocks 5 cards, you still choose just one and you retire and draw it for a Counterblast 1. So Counterblast 1 for retire and draw is pretty good. It was much better when it was Soul Blast 1, but it's still really good even now with Counterblast 1. Then the second skill is of course the one that actually forces some locks, which is once per turn Vanguard Circle, Counterblast 1 and discard 2 Star-Vader cards from your hand. And if you do, lock one of your opponent's rearguards can also be in the front row. So you have to really manage your costs very carefully in this deck, because Star-Vaders do get a countercharger later on in G that are specifically Star-Vader, so Colony Maker can actually fetch it out. But this is a very cost-heavy deck that you have to be super careful how you balance it, because your only form of countercharging is healing, basically. So be very careful. Sometimes you have to really think, is it more worth it to like retire and draw something when it unlocks, or is it better to just relock it again with a second skill to keep forcing that lock and not letting your opponent call anything in that circle? So this card is still really fantastic, but it's no longer like carrying the clan on its shoulders, and that kind of weight is distributed more along the entire deck itself. Also, I should mention this deck list is inspired by the Vanguard Zero Championship Winter Qualifiers. There was one of the players that actually qualified with this exact deck list, and I've been trying it out myself for a while now, and it's really good, so I generally do recommend it quite a lot. So moving on, we have the Break Ride, of course, Infinite Zero. You guys in Global already have this. When you Break Ride Counterblast 1, for that turn, the Vanguard gets plus 10k, and then you lock one of your opponent's front row and rearguard and back row rearguard. So this is, of course, a nice way to like lock stuff, and then you don't have to use Chaos anymore, because then you can just like wait for stuff to unlock and retire them. You can still use Chaos to like lock the last front row, for example, so usually use it for that. Then our heal is still Nebula Lord, so basically you already know in Nebula Lord, start of your battle phase for that turn, for each of your opponent's lock cards, your front row gets plus 3k. If they have 3 or more lock cards, then you can draw 1, and he has the skill to Counterblast 1 and lock a back row unit as well. So just basically a nice little heal to have. Sometimes you go into it if you've like completely out of resources, but then like your opponent still has like locked stuff, then you can still like go into this and then like kind of like still buff up your front row a little bit. Or sometimes that front row buff is what you need to finish some games. I'm running one of the Multiverse Dragons, so this is just Limerick 4, when placed on Vanguard Circle, Counterblast 2, lock one of your opponent's rearguards and then gain 5k. So it's like the 10k grade 3 that is also double rare, but 11k base and Limerick like Reliant instead. So it has its own downsides and upsides, but overall they're very similar, and you can kind of like put whatever here, to be honest. Then 3 Mobius Breaths. This is still like your best grade 2 ride. When his attack hits a Vanguard while he's on your Vanguard, then you can choose one of your opponent's rearguards and lock it. So if they do early aggro, you lock a front row. If not, you usually just lock their starter, and that's good enough. So Mobius Breath, of course, is still a staple. 10k vanillas 3 times, because when we're locking our opponent's back row, they have to basically like, if they call something that cannot hit for 10k, the 10k vanilla just stands there and like just cannot be hit. So it's really great for that reason. For 12k attackers, because especially for the mirror match, it's really important. Like if they lock your back row and stuff like that because you left something up there, then this will still kind of pull through for you. So really important for that reason. And just like making nice columns together with the Lanthanum also is really important. And then the new addition is of course Colony Maker. This is going to be a staple for Star-Vaders for years to come. Years to come. This card is just ridiculously good. When you call it, if your opponent has at least one locked card, Count must 1, search your deck for any grade 1 Star-Vader and call it. So this tutors out any grade 1 from your deck basically in a Star-Vader deck, and it's just such a fantastic card. Like sometimes you have to think, is it more worth to Count must 1 to retire and draw, or is it more worth to actually use Colony Maker and stuff like that? So she's just amazing. And so the grade 1s we can tech, of course, the Lanthanum gains 3k every time you lock one of your opponent's cards. We have the 10k attacker 3 times, which is also nice because it can swing into an intercept unboosted, and one of the most important cards right now is the Palladium. So this also got a bit of a change in the way it works, but in my opinion, this card is insanely important for the deck and actually carries it really, really well, which says at the beginning of your turn on Rearguard Circle, you can count +1 and put this into your soul to choose one of your opponent's rearguards that unlocked during your opponent's last end phase and lock it again. So you basically, like, let's say you lock with like Infinite Zero, you lock the front row and the back row, and then with Chaos you lock another front row. Then everything unlocks during the end phase. So then you can use the Palladium to relock like an Interceptor, and then you can use Chaos to retire the other one, and then, or just like not even retire and use Chaos as second skill to lock it back down again. So this Palladium is so key and so important in like outgrinding your opponent, and for that reason it's just absolutely fantastic. So yeah, this is the deck. 9 draws because it's very piece reliant, and it's like, you know, you might not think that, but it really is piece reliant, and like you really need to outgrind some decks. The mirror match is like, I personally like it. Some people might think it's like very grindy and people are just like passing on 3 all the time. It's honestly, in my opinion, the mirror match is finding that opportunity, that exact moment in time where your opponent opens up an opportunity where you can make a board state where you can give them the limit break to either break right or use Chaos, where they can only like lock 1 or 2 of your rear guards, and you still have like at least 1 column left open and your Vanguard Circle. So then you can actually lock, you invite them to aggro you, and then you can actually be up ahead in the lock kind of count. So it's a really interesting mirror match. It's a shame that I didn't record my last game because it's actually a really, really good one. Like if this game had a replay feature, that would be the first game we'd be taking a look at. But regardless, let's take a look at this deck, play a few games, and just run through it. I'm gonna do my best. I'm not the best Chaos Breaker player by any means. This is like, I never played this deck IRL. The only Link Joker I ever built was actually just Messiahs in G and then in Standard. I'm looking forward to building Chaos in Standard now though, but you know, we're gonna see how it goes. Alright, bringing against Royal Paladin, so actually one of the most commonly seen decks right now in the ladder. So we're gonna see how this goes. I've never played this matchup before, so this will be interesting. Alright, so opening hand. No Mobius Breath is a little bit concerning, so I kind of want to put back the Radon at least and keep everything else. Having a PG is good against this because they can turbo into Salome, so that like just randomly like crits you and you lose. So I'm going to keep the rest here, hopefully draw into a Mobius Breath. We don't, another Chaos is okay. Any like, you almost never re-ride. Once you ride Chaos, you basically almost never re-ride in this deck because you're essentially just like, you're going into this point where like, you need the other grade 3s in your hand to be discard fodder for Chaos' second skill. Like, that's just how it is, you know? So you generally don't rewrite. You also don't really need the soul in this deck that much either. Alright, we draw Infinite Zero so we can kind of do something with that. We're gonna see the state of the game, to be honest. Like, that's something that you just have to, like, you play out the game and you see what your opponent throws at you, and then, like, that will determine whether you go for the break ride or whether you just, like, go for Chaos instantly. Because sometimes you'll be sitting on the break ride and your opponent just will not let you go past 3 damage. So then sometimes you can switch it up and like give them the kind of like surprise of just like hitting them with the Chaos without break riding just to lock something. So it's pretty good for that reason, in my opinion, to just like have both on hand and then just kind of adapt to the situation of the game that is kind of throwing you into. Alright, can we top deck the Mobius Breath just to lock the starter? That's a no. Alright, that's fine, to be honest, in which case we're not going to go for anything too aggressive. I have a pretty grade 3 heavy hand. I think this can be a Infinite Zero game. Depends what they call here. If they try to go aggro on me right here, then I can actually go for Chaos and start locking stuff. But then I need like Colony Maker. I need the whatchamacallit. I need the Palladium to start relocking stuff. I think they might actually just not do much, or like just call out one column like this. Yeah, looks like it's gonna be like a single column game. This is really tempting to go into Chaos because then I can start locking the front row immediately, but I'm not sure if that's worth it here. it might be more worth to sit on the break ride because it feels like... Oh, the Mobius came too late. I'm thinking here because if we go into Chaos, we're probably going to be giving Limit Break next turn. And if I can lock... The thing is, if I lock one rearguard, one front row here, I have to like pummel phase 3 times, and I'm lacking power with Chaos. It's only going to be a 15k, so that's like lacking in power anyway. Maybe we go into the Infinite Zero and have that threat, and then they just kind of struggle to even like give me the Limit Break. So I'll push them to 3, set up one intercept, and then they have to self-damage for the Limit Break probably. Alright. Infinito Zero Dragon. Alright, so we do that. I want to keep the rest of my hand. You have to be really careful with calling stuff. Like, you discard so much in this deck. Like, there's... Honestly, this deck, like, it doesn't feel over-nerfed, but it really, you have to tiptoe around, like, the game, to be honest, to not randomly just, like, lose important resources and stuff like that. Okay, we deny a heal while healing ourselves. That's really important. Let's use the starter here to get rid of this, like, awkward 4k number. Okay, we drew our all 4 chaoses. That's interesting. Alright, so... Oh my god. Okay, that's 3 heals out for my opponents. I'm actually not... Like, they're healing a lot, but one of them got denied, and they're already out by now, so I'm not actually feeling too bad about that. This also means that they might commit another rear, and they might go double self-damager here, which would be good for me. I think they made a mistake there. I mean, whatever, it's fine. Yeah, I mean... Maybe they've been playing a bit too much Azel. Azel is the only deck right now with 9k self-damagers, but, you know, understandable, understandable. Alright, so I see here... Here is an interesting situation where we could actually, like, randomly ride up and go Chaos, right? Because it's, like, the situation where... I don't know, never mind, they self-damage, so it's actually not worth it. I think we give them the Limit Break in this situation. I think it's actually kind of worth it, but we have to be really careful about it. So, I think we go for the Radon here. Kind of worried about... So she's gonna retire my intercept. I have 3 PG, so I can survive whatever she throws at me. I want to invite her to just aggro me. I want to invite our opponent to just get aggressive and give me the break ride here, you know? Because if I give her Limit Break here, she probably will, like, start, like, you know, she'll retire my intercept, and then she'll start, like, pummeling my face and all that kind of stuff. So, hopefully this isn't a defensive, so we can actually hit into the face. Good, 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 good. Alright, we pushed Limit Break. Doesn't matter. I'm denying my own heals, but that's kind of okay, because I want her to give me Limit Break so I can start locking everything, and then we just, like, if we can freeze her at 4 here, like, keep in mind she has 1 heal left in deck, so if we can freeze her at 4 here, we're basically in this really good situation where we lock, like, whatever intercept she calls here, we can lock them and lock the starter as well. Yeah, she's setting up for locking 2 now. She's gonna lock the self-damager and the starter to call probably the Miranda, I'm assuming. This probably was coming out, yeah. So retiring my intercept first, then Miranda's gonna come out. She's gonna make the rearguard Ashley column into 21, which is really good. So yeah, I think she's gonna stop there. Yep. Okay, so only leaving 1 intercept up is pretty interesting as well. That kind of tempts me not to, like, you know, not to do anything too crazy as well, if that makes sense. Giving it to the Vanguard is interesting because you could have made a 21k column on the right. Not sure why they chose to do that, but I mean, it's okay. Because you're already giving me Limit Break, so you might as well, like... That literally gets over... like, I can take 1 damage here. See, they don't check a trigger, so here he has to, like, attack into my Chaos. Whereas otherwise, this would have been a 21k. And I would have just had to PG that. It would have been one of my 3 PGs, but now it's like, whatever, you know? It's like, oh, sure, okay, I'll take that. Alright, let's go. Let me crank up the volume so you can hear Chaos's line. Very important. You know, this is one of the most iconic cards in the game. Here we go. Star-vader. There we go. Chaos Breaker Dragon. Alright, my opponent's wondering, like, why did he stop? Why are they waiting? Alright, so we're gonna lock the Miranda, we're gonna lock the starter, and then we're gonna lock this front row Ashley, and just kind of keep my opponent just locked down, like, quite literally. That's the best way to put it. Although, actually, I'm thinking about it right now. It might not be worth it to lock this. Because I have 3 PGs, I don't actually need to worry too much. They can only swing at me 2 times. Because rather, I might need these attackers to just push. To simply push. I think that might be the better choice here, and just keep the 3 PGs. I don't want to misplay, so I'm going to just choose to do that. In an interesting maneuver, we're going to choose to do that instead. I'm gonna call this over here as well, I think. I want to call this here, purely because I can relock the front row then, without actually paying too many resources. Yeah, let's just do that. We're gonna keep it like this. This is a 24k column, so I can get over this defensive. That's really important for me right now. So we're gonna swing here, take the PG out. He might have double PGs, but he can only swing at me twice, and I have 3 PGs, so I'm fine on that front. So let's find out here. Poop. All right, heal comes through. That's actually really nice. Wow, I didn't even consider myself healing, but I guess in hindsight we do still have a lot of them left. So yeah, that was only our second one. All right, so 2 PGs down for my opponent. They only have 2 rear guards that they can swing with, and then now they're basically quote-unquote in my control, sort of, like, because here what they can do is like swing face, I take 1 damage, and swing with this again, and I basically just like get swung out again. How many Ashleys do I have left? None. Okay, so this is also kind of weird because it's like you want to swing Vanguard first so the buff doesn't really matter. Yeah, that literally was a wasted all-in in my opinion. You should have kept that for later, because if I check a defensive here, this doesn't hit anymore, so you don't get the plus. Yeah, like that just feels bad for my opponent, to be honest, because like I literally get to plus off of that. I mean, or rather, I deny their plus from that is the more important thing to say. All right, so first, let's relock the front row. So we're gonna use the Palladium here to keep that thing locked. So, you know, just Counterblast 1, put it into Soul, I think is really good cost for that. Do I want to draw from this? I think I do, yes. I have so much Counterblast actually left face up because of the random heal there, that I'm gonna kill the starter there in the back. Into the Colony Maker, that's actually fantastic. That is actually fantastic. Oh my god. Okay, so I think what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna go Colony Maker to make a column, or Column Maker, I guess is a better way to put it. We're gonna make a column here with the Palladium if we have any left. Yes, we have exactly 1. So we're gonna make a column with the Palladium here. And then we're gonna use Chaos to discard the grade 2 in one of our PGs to lock this, and then just swing face 3 times. He only has 2 PGs left, and potentially a maximum of, what is it? 1 heal left? So they can heal out of, if they heal out, like PG, and they heal out of this, then they can only swing once, and they swing into my thingy. They can actually retire once with Ashley Reverse, but then I have 3 PGs, so I'm still fine. Alright, so this should be good. Damn, I'm being sweaty as hell. Like, I'm being hella tryhard in this game. But, you know, Chaos really, like, I cannot just, like, be telling stories and talking trash. Like, I really need to be focusing in these games. Alright, so there we go. We went through all 4 PGs, 3 heals, maybe 4. Maybe there'll be another one. Let's see. Alright, there is not. That's going to be the first win against this meta's most popular deck. Ashley Reverse is, at least in set 15 in JP, by far feels like the most popular deck, together with Liberators. Zenith and Ashley Reverse are just everywhere, but they're both really fun decks, so I really don't blame anyone. I'm also part of the group that's like non-stop just been playing Ashley Reverse, so it's a really, really good deck, and it's really, really fun. I'll be covering that really, really soon, so I want to like cover this deck, then the Ramiel Reverse deck, which is okay. Japan finds it really good. I personally found that it was like nice, but a little bit boring, and not as fun as Zerakiel with the new support. And then I'm gonna cover Ashley Reverse, and then probably like Minerva, and then I somehow pulled Immortal Ashura Kaiser 4 times, so I can cover that deck now, I guess. And I can also kind of cover what else can I cover? Dauntless Reverse with 3 Dauntless Reverses, if y'all are into that. I mean, I don't really want to craft a 4th one, because I'd rather save that for future cards, but, you know, I'll do it if I have to. Literally same hand as last time, like we're just mulliganing for Mobius Breaths, and I guess we got the Break Ride too. We want to keep this in hand. We play 4 of it, but it's like, it's so important to have it. Alright, this looks like pure blouse this time around, probably. Not the Immortal Ashura blouse. Although I could be mistaken. We'll find out soon, you know. This grade 0 is just such a fantastic card. Alright, so we just ride and pass. Quick hydration while my opponent rides, you know. Talking a lot during these videos, gotta stay hydrated. You too, if you're at home, get a quick sip of water. Very important. Interesting. Playing that, I've seen JP players actually like running this as a heal. I don't personally agree with it, but I mean, I'm kind of whatever on it. Alright, let's ride the 10k vanilla and just literally swing. Like, there's nothing too convoluted about the situation. We get a draw into another Palladium. I'm definitely happy about that. This game, I think I have to go Chaos, but not too soon. Does that make sense? I might have to sit on Infinite Zero and just like be threatening, if as weird as that sounds. Because this deck can 2 to 6 very easily. Like, do not underestimate Immortal Ashura Kaiser. I lost my like Champions Tournament run to Ashura Kaiser because I actually underestimated it, and it's nasty. It's really, really nasty in my opinion. It's ridiculously nasty. Oh my god. So what some people do is like they sit on grade 2, they just like go to Mobius Breath and they just like sit on it. They just sit on it, keep relocking stuff. I don't think that's worth it though. I think I have to push. I think I have to push a little bit here actually. Man. Alright, let's see. Let's see. I don't want to get too cocky with my resources, so I'm just gonna push like this. Push this, maybe heal down. Doesn't really matter too much, but if he tries to do anything weird, if I notice him trying to do something weird and like playing awfully conservative or whatever, because what he might do is just like call a front row, swing it into this, and then like just like swing with Vanguard. I think that might be the opportunity I take to just try to finish the game instantly. Like, it's such a nasty deck, honestly. Like, this deck is really nasty to play against. Yeah, calls one front row. He's gonna swing rear, then swing Van, and then wait for me to give him Limit Break, but I'm not kidding, this deck can 2-6 you. I'm seriously not kidding about that. It's so nasty. It's so ridiculously nasty. Alright, we get a draw. I think we just go Chaos here, honestly. I think we have to, because otherwise it's gonna be really difficult to do anything. Found double Mars. If I go Chaos, I can just discard Nebula Chaos, and then... What kind of columns do I set up? Radon swings alone. Chaos with... Actually, I can set up pretty good... I can set up pretty good columns, I guess. And I can keep relocking this. He has 2 attacks to work with, but then he literally like loses this, which is a really important resource. I think we gotta actually go for the switch up here. So we forget the break ride. We forget the break ride, we just have to lock this intercept, otherwise it's gonna be actually like unwinnable in my opinion. Maybe I could have waited a turn, just like swung past, but I want to act right now. I want to just act right now. So we're going to discard. I think we have a good hand for it too. That's the other thing. We have a good hand for this situation, in my opinion at least. So let's just see what we can do with it. Let's just see what we can do with it. So we call this. You want to waste as few resources doing this as possible. But even then, like, look, I'm using up a lot just to try and like 3-6 him myself. So we need like 1 trigger for this column, for these columns to hit. Luckily we find a draw, which is really, really good here. If he doesn't see a defensive here, we can try to at least force out a PG. Alright, he has to not see one here either, which is asking for a lot because he hasn't seen any triggers. Yeah, that was too much. That was too much. Alright. This is only 24, so it doesn't hit. We have 1 intercept, and he has only 2 columns to work with. Immortal Assure is still going to be really, really deadly, even with 1 column, I think. Oh, my God, this deck is so scary. This deck is so damn scary. Just watch. Like, I am honestly, like, it feels like a high, like, for all intents and purposes, it should be a high roll deck, but for some reason it's just not. Yeah, like they just set that up and you're in danger. You're instantly in danger. Because here you can like, he's gonna swing rear, swing Van, then he's gonna use break right skill to restand these 2, and then if he checks even 1 grade 3 or one of the Blau cards, or the Samurai, he can restand Vanguard now, and I think that's actually game. I think that's actually game. You're gonna see like everything becomes way too big. We needed to draw PG there, I think. Like, this deck is actually really just scary. It's so damn scary. Like, look how big everything gets. 28. What do you do against that? Like, it's actually just frightening. It's frightening, and you can do it again. See? Break right skill, restand everything. Yeah, like this deck, I don't really know what to do against it still. It's so new that I'm not sure what the counterplay is. I really am not sure what the counterplay is against the new Immortal Ashura. It's actually just ridiculous. Like, even when you try to pull the rug under them and like lock a front row early, like they can work without it. They can work without it. It's really, really scary. And not just from a chaos perspective, from any deck perspective. It's so hard to play against it. Like, unless your deck can keep them, like DP can keep them at 3 damage the entire game, it's really hard to actually do anything else. Like, I think like Reiji can still do well against it, and DP can do well against it, but for other decks, it's kind of a nightmare in my opinion. It's really hard to play against. Alright, let's see who our final opponent will be. Let's run one more game. It's Neo Nectar. I always lose to Neo Nectar on camera, man. Let's see if Neo Nectar is a secret answer to Chaos Breaker. The secret anti-meta. Alright, let's go. So, this hand is again interesting. I mean, I'll keep it like this, I guess. We always have like the same grade 2s. It's always the same grade 2s. And then the PG. And the other 2 cards are like slightly different. No Mobius Breaths, but it's okay. Arboros. It's not Musketeers. That's interesting. Alright, let's go 10k attacker. I don't really need it this early. And still kind of hoping to top deck Mobius Breath somewhere. I think we went first last game too, actually, when I'm thinking about it. But yeah, this deck is interesting. If it's actually Arboros, that's something I haven't It's actually Arboros, wow. Oh, it might be like Maiden of Venus Trap, actually. This could be Maiden of Venus Trap with Arboros in it. I think Arboros is still pretty okay. I don't consider it that great, but, you know, if you're good at it, it's like a deck that can definitely be threatening. That's like the thing with Vanguard, right? It's like, even if you think a deck is like whatever in a competitive standpoint of like, you know, if you had to give a bunch of players the same decks to play with, they would always choose the best decks that are statistically best, right? But sometimes like you'll have these people that are like one-trick ponies with like Arboros, for example, and they're just godlike with it. Like they're actually just insane, and like they know every matchup, they know every answer to every, like, you know, to every single out and everything, and it's just like, well, I don't really know what to do here. So it's pretty interesting how like that kind of happens. I kind of want to trade this out. I might regret it, but I don't see chaos anywhere, so I need to kind of adapt to that too. Alright, let's just swing. So we're on 10k base. I think they found the grade 2 of the right chain, so alright, let's find out. Alright, 1 PG down, that's kind of good news for me. 2 heals out of my side though, so that's a little bit unfortunate. But let's see here. Alright, goes into grade 2 Arboros. This copies, right? I think that's the thing it does. Yes, you choose a rearguard and call the same name. Yeah, so it's good that we killed a grade 1 musketeer. I did that not knowing that. So that's good. I haven't played against this deck since it came out, I think. Since it came out in 0, so, you know, it's a bit of a fresh experience. But yeah. Ah, running musketeer. So I guess it is a kind of like a mix of both musketeers and... Yeah, it looks like a musketeer Arboros mix to me. Alright, chaos checked. Nebula drawn. That's my 3rd heal. Unfortunate. This might just be like a Nebula game, to be honest. And I'm not too against that. That's okay for me. Because Nebula is still really good, especially if we can just like break right next turn. Or not next turn, but the turn after this. So we just go into this. We want the extra draw here. And we're going to push to 2 damage. Nothing too fancy. Not really worth doing more than that, I think. So we just swing with a 12k here. Swing with the Vanguard. Get the extra draw. We'll go into Nebula if we have to be honest. Like Chaos, I think I've shown off Chaos's power pretty well. And like, you know, what it does. Double draw. That's actually mad powerful. My hand's going to be chonky now. That's really good. That's really good. Alright, there's another Arboros. Grade 2 gone, so that's no more targets of that. Draw into PG just like that. That's really good. We can just go into Nebula here, to be honest. I mean, there is a reason why we play Nebula as the heal, so you kind of have to show him being a functional member of society, i.e. a key card in the deck. I guess is what I'm trying to convey over here. So that's also good. So, alright, let's see. Going into the Cecilia. I haven't seen Cecilia in a while either. Everybody's running the new girl instead. I always forget her name. That's a Decklist I still need to do as well, because I actually pulled basically everything for that deck. But, yeah, interesting. Alright. This has to retire Musketeers, right? I think it does. Yeah, it has to retire Jushi Musketeer. So, this also has to retire Musketeers too, right? Yeah, so he has to retire his Intercept to find something, and doesn't have Limit Break yet to recycle stuff. But, interesting. I've never seen this kind of fusion. I've never seen, like, these 2 archetypes mixed before, so... It's kind of fresh, kind of cool. Ooh, Elvira isn't here too, so it really is a fusion of Musketeers. Oh, he's probably gonna retire it with them and the Cecilia here though. Looks to be the case. Looks to be the case. All right. So, let's see here. Let's see here. All right. It's probably targeting that. Yeah. Try to find a grade 2. I think it's probably the best thing, even though. I mean, it's gonna get locked. If assuming I have chaos in hand, right? It's gonna get locked. So, gotta be careful. Just call those grade 2s. Be careful here. All right, what did he find? Running out of time too. Ooh, that's a really good one. Oh no, missed. That missed. That's actually really unfortunate. But double intercept is good. I'm assuming he's gonna just swing Van into rear. Never mind. Is he giving me a limit break? Can I? Get us, please. Get us. Ooh, the stand. I like that. Yeah, right. She did reveal it, right? She's running a really... It's a mix of triggers. Cecilia is the heal. And then we saw Arboros as the heal as well. This is the stand. This is the crit. That's a really interesting mix of everything. But I mean, it's working out so far. But now we can go for... I guess we're gonna go into Nebula Lord. I mean, there's like... If I have Chaos, I'll still go into Chaos. But... Otherwise... Nope. Looks like it's a Nebula Lord. Alright. So here we go. Haven't ridden this guy in a good old time. Good long time. Alright, so let's break Ryan. And then I guess we can draw an extra card from Nebula. That's like what's gonna happen. Alright, that gets locked. We can just do like double colony maker, to be honest. But what do I even get out of the colony maker? I guess just palladiums? I guess I just want palladiums here. Is there any way I can set up like a nicer column than this? I don't think so. I think with my last one, I don't want a second palladium. We'll get the 10k attacker here because I have palladium in hand as well, so it's like feels kind of whatever to be getting it out. I'm gonna go for the greedy play because I want to draw an extra card. I want the extra draw here, so I'm gonna go for the triple lock. It's not the most efficient, but it's an extra card in hand, so for me it feels worth. Into another palladium, that's pretty good. I have 2 PGs, so we're like surviving pretty well here, even with the 2 swings that will just go into my rear guards. We'll give him limit break, and I'm pretty cool with that. Next turn we can relock the interceptor with the palladium, and then oh, the heal, that's really good. That's really, really good. That's 100% appreciated. And the draw too. Ooh, okay, the triggers are definitely on my side this game. The triggers are very much on my side. So I basically filtered the deck and drew into a lot of these PGs now. And, you know, we leave our, you know, dear Neo-Nectar opponent with 3 locked cards. Literally poor Mai-chan over here, like, with the Link Joker static running through her body. Oh dear. Getting casually reversed. Alright, returning 3. Those are good targets too. So it's gonna call, what, 2 Cecilias, right? So calls both to the same column, then has to retire one of them to find a booster, basically. And then it can make another column, but they're gonna just swing at intercept anyway, and then if she doesn't make an intercept, the only problem is that Nebulor can't block front row, so I really still want to go into a chaos here to, like, you know, I want to use Palladium to relock the front row that unlocks, and then I want to go into chaos to lock the other front row now, to just get 3 swings to the face. Otherwise it's gonna be like 1 PG, and that kind of saves her here. So let's see. Alright. What's the answer? It's the countercharger, okay. That's definitely worth it, because if I don't go into chaos, that is actually gonna stay there, and that intercept will stay there. Alright, how many heals has she seen? I think she's... I need to look at actually publicly revealed. No, she made those 2. So I think only 1, actually. From her deck, only 1 heal, I think. So, okay, that's 1 check. And second check. Okay, no heals there. Good, good, good. Alright, so now we just need to top deck chaos. Top deck chaos, maybe. Oh, but we only have 1 Kalba, so that doesn't actually do anything. Yeah, we just relock this then. Relock this, and then we just stop there. Bloop. I would still like the chaos though. Ah, he came. We don't need it right now though. We don't need it right now. I'm just thinking if I might want the retire, but I have Palladium as like probably my go-to here to keep those columns locked up. I think that's the call here. We just stay on Nebula for another turn, get the small buff to the front row, which will matter a little bit. Because we can make a 17, that becomes a 20, it's actually not that big of a deal. I could put a booster behind Vanguard to make that into a 21, that's more worth it. We stay on Nebula here, we can go into Chaos next turn if we must, but I think I'll need a heal for that, and I think I'm out of heals. Yeah, I'm out of heals. Alright, we stay on Nebula, this will be swinging to this, and then we call a column like this. I technically can just call this here, because this buffs my front row 3, right? So this swings into this swings into this, and then we can swing with the Vanguard into this. I think I'm fine with this, actually. Just kind of keeping a hand like this. How many draws do we have left? Just 3. So even if I check 2, I don't overdraw, I think. Yeah, let's just swing like this. Get the front row buff here, and take out a PG from hand. And then we have 3 PGs ourselves, we're actually quite fine here. We're quite alright. So there's a 21k on the middle column, which is really important. Alright, no triggers, and then we swing again for 21. This will probably be a PG, so just waiting for that. Yep. Alright, so they live another turn. Their front row is still locked, and they need to give me 1 damage, which they can, for me to keep relocking that. Otherwise, I'll just ride Chaos and discard 2, lock it again. So they also, important note, they need another intercept here as well. They can actually recycle 1, 2. They have to recycle non-grade 3s, right? Yeah. They're missing 1 more. So he can use Cecilia to kill this, and then Superior Call, and then basically, like, recycle that. Okay, looks like he's just calling an intercept and, like, gonna swing face for 1 damage, probably. The smart thing is to swing rear here, actually, not Vanguard. So let's see if they... Okay, they're gonna swing face. That gives me the 1 Kalmas I need. That's a 3rd PG. Yeah, that's the 3rd PG for information sakes. Alright, it shows 4 heals gone, but that's not actually the accurate heals because they made some Cecilias. Alright, so that unlocks... And now we'll relock this with the skill. I guess again I can just do the same thing, just use Nebula's buff. Nebula's buff can get over the last any heals that might come out here. So I think again I just stay on Nebula, which isn't something I expected to be doing this game, but I think we do. I think that's genuinely just the best call here. Should I just call Chaos for the flex? Nah, I'll reveal that my heals are out. I'll reveal that my heals are out. Let's be transparent here. Alright, so this just buffs up front row. This will be a 21k column, so that's all we really need. No grade 2s, but we have 3 PG, so we can live through whatever swings this kind of throws at me. Palladium, the absolute GOAT. The absolute GOAT. What a great card. Like, this grade 1, like I said, it carries the deck more than Chaos, in my opinion. It really does carry the deck. Alright, so let's see here. Final PG, or not. Alright, this might be a heal. Could be. Let's see what happens. Alright, 6 damage, and nothing. Alright. And that goes to show that Nebula is still a great card in this deck too, and that Palladium carries the entire goddamn archetype. So yeah, like I said, like those cards will be so important. I'm not surprised that Palladium is a triple rare, to be honest, because it's so damn good. Like you guys saw here, literally, like you can go into any grade 3 as long as you have Palladiums to like go around, it's gonna carry the entire deck for you. Like it's just really good for that sole reason. So yeah, those were some good 3 games. You know, game 2 just basically showed what happens when you have good decks that can 3 to 6 you very easily, even with a locked column. So that kind of shows the weakness of the deck. But regardless, Chaos is still really, really good. It's a good thing we didn't face any Azels in these 3 games, because that is definitely an auto lose, because no matter how much you try, Azel will just completely undo everything you're trying to do. But apart from Azel, this deck is still really nice, and I think, yeah, as you saw, it still has some really good matchups where it completely dominates. And so if you enjoyed Star-Vaders, if you liked Chaos, if you were a Chaos player and still are in the TCG, you're gonna enjoy this too. I think like it still does a good service to like the glory of Chaos Breaker and how amazing that deck was when it first came out. And like going forward, it's only gonna get better support in the future with all the G support, and I think that's gonna be really exciting and something to look forward to as well. But yeah, that's basically gonna be it for me today. Hope you guys enjoyed today's Deck and Fight, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.